Hi everyone, welcome to the December edition of the Cats Coffee Break. My name is Bobby Benzer, the Eastern Regional Manager for the Children's and Teen Services Department at Baker and Taylor, meaning I get to work with all you lovely juvenile and teen librarians east of the Mississippi River. I'm joined today by my adorable kitty, Hades Mercedes, who I am bribing with treats. Normally around this time, she's snuggled up on my lap, but today I have to bribe her with treats to hang out with me. I guess that's what happens sometimes. And I'm joined here today by my colleague Rita.
Hi, my name is Rita King, and I'm the Children's and Teen Services Manager for the western side of the United States, and everything west of the Mississippi, include Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin. And I'm joined with Dooley today, who is very dapper in his bow tie. And you won't be able to see it probably the rest of the time. But also, we are having some animal quality control issues or whatever today. It's kind of funny. So we are bribing them with treats and hoping they just cooperate, which just makes it real, right?
There's a chill in the air today, and I think it's got a nice December chill, and I think it's got everyone a little riled up. So. Well, today we're going to be talking about a couple really cool things. We're going to start with an initiative at Baker and Taylor that's been going strong for a while now. That's really helpful for a lot of libraries around the country. We think it might be for you as well. It's our CATS leasing program. So Rita's going to touch on that. And then Rita and I are going to talk about some of the story time reads, both current and forthcoming, that we've been enjoying with our pet pals over the past several weeks. Books that are coming out either in the next couple months or books that are currently out there in the world. And then we're going to be joined by Alexandra Wang and Jason Chin to talk about their latest pairing up of to create the wonderful picture book Watercress. And that's pretty much what we got on the agenda for our coffee break today.
More tea.
I'm sure Rita has her tea. I love tea too, but in the morning I need my coffee. You know what I'm saying? So we're going to turn things over to Rita. She's going to talk about the CATS leasing program, which we also call rotating reads. Thanks, Rita.
Thanks, Bobby. So Baker and Taylor has a rotating reads or book leasing program for children's and teen materials that allows you to get the titles to your young library patrons when they demand them. So while they are hot, and return them when they're not, really. So it's an affordable and efficient way for your library to plan. And you can be invoiced annually or semi-annually or quarterly. It's a great answer to those times when you know a book to movie adaptation is coming out and there's going to be a checkout frenzy, or even for those times when you can't order material at the end of your fiscal year. And since you are already invoiced and pay early, you can order during those blank times when you know you need those books without irritating the finance department, which I think is really important. So just let Bobby and I know if you're interested. We can give you some more information on that as well.
Very cool. Thanks, Rita. Yeah, it's such a great program, and there's so many ways to use it. If you got special things like book clubs or summer reading where you need to stock up on certain titles, it's a really awesome program, so thanks for touching on that. Now we're going to turn over to some of the picture books we've been reading that are really great for story time. I'm going to start with a couple here. Stock favorite, I'm sure it's a favorite. Mac Barnett is a favorite of yours. This book is actually already out there in the world, A Polar Bear in the Snow. And it came out in October, but I thought it would be a good book to remind everyone about if you're working on, winter reading roundups or ways to merchandise kind of snowy titles in your newsletters or even at the library. So this is a pairing of Mark Barnett and Sean Harris, and it follows a polar bear upon waking up from hibernation. And the question that keeps being asked from the narrators, what's next for the polar bear? Where's he off to? And so that's what the reader gets to enjoy throughout, watching the polar bear journey through the Arctic, past all these fun animals, past a human visiting the Arctic, across this beautiful, stark, gorgeous landscape of illustrations done by Sean Harris. There's such texture, and it's just really breathtaking. Creates a lot of emotion, and you're asking for a lot of engagement with the kids because, of course, that refrain keeps popping up. What's next for the polar bear? Or where's he off to? So the kids get to see, and kind of engage with the text and answer those questions along the way. And it ends with a question, a very kind of open-ended, who knows where he's off to, kind of emphasizing that whole, like, it's not really the destination, it's the journey, kind of lesson that we're always trying to teach our young people. So again, I'm a huge fan of Mark Barnett, and this is good for K and up, early readers, snowy afternoon story times, and that's already out. Another picture book I'm really excited about. This one's not out till February. Early One Morning by Mem Fox and illustrated by Christine Davenier. Good for first grade and up. Also has very limited, simple text, which I appreciate in picture books. It's got a farm, barnyard setting, which most kids will enjoy. In this book, a little boy wakes up early one morning and he goes on an adventure himself in search of his breakfast. And he searches all over the farm, and he's searching for something because, again, there's another question being asked, and it's repeated throughout each spread. Did the tractor lay them? Did the gate lay them? I mean, of course, you and I know that what he's actually looking for is the chicken coop, right? Because chickens lay eggs, and that's the kind of, the end there. He finds what he's looking for, and then he gets to have breakfast with Grammy, and it's really sweet, really cute. I love the nostalgic watercolor art. And again, that repeated refrain throughout each page makes for a great story time read and also helps build early literacy skills. So that's another one I'm also really excited about. And now
I just want to say something here. I love Mem Fox, and when I started to get into early literacy, she was the first person I learned from in her materials and books. So,
awesome.
Yeah, she has a new book.
Very cool. Yeah. I know you're a big story time gal, so I'm excited to hear your picks, Rita.
Are you done? I'm excited too. So story time is one of my favorite things. I was a youth librarian, lots of you know, for over 15 years and did multiple story times every week. So Julie gets to hear a lot of my story times, and I'll soon have a grandchild that I'll be able to share books with, so I'm super excited about that. The first story I have is Milo Imagines the World. And I know that we've talked about before that we read a lot of art copies, so we wanted you to see the cover of the book. Written by Matt de la Pena and illustrated by Christian Robinson. Milo is on a long subway ride with his older sister, and you are not going to believe where he is going, and I'm not going to tell you. You're just going to have to read the book to find out. And so to pass the time, he studies the faces around him and makes pictures of their lives. There's a whiskered man with a crossword puzzle, and Milo imagines him playing solitaire in a cluttered apartment full of pets, like Julie. There is a wedding-dressed woman with a little brown dog sticking out of her purse, and Milo imagines her at a grand ceremony. And there is a boy in a suit with bright white sneakers, and Milo imagines him coming home to a castle with a butler. And I just related to this story because I remember as a little girl doing the same thing. I did it in church a lot when I couldn't hold my concentration on what I was supposed to be concentrating on, and I would look and stare at other people and imagine them in a different world. So this story really hit home for me. So then he realizes that the boy gets off at the same spot as he does, and they are going to the same place, which again, you're going to have to read to find out. And so he realizes you can't really know anyone just by looking at them. And in the book, there's also a spread of some awesome breakdancing that happens. I just think that you'll absolutely love this title. All right, the next one. Are you guys ready? Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say. So it's out in April, and the book starts off by saying, let's talk about manners. There are words like puppy and buttercup and snickerdoodle, and then there are rude words like poop. This is such a funny tongue twister read out loud. Kids and adults will be laughing so much that they may even cry. I mean, when I say a word like poop, when you can say humdrum bum crumbs or float or sinker, sometimes mushy from your tushy is one of my personal favorites.
Oh, gosh.
And of course, the book discusses other words that you should never use, like pee and butt and boogers, which boogers, you could also pick them, call them pick them or flick them, or just don't lick them, tissue issues. This book is sure to be so much fun for all ages. And I have some nephews too that walk around going poop, 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 poop. So I just think it's kind of funny. The next story, the last story I'm going to share is the whole story. I love the cover of this book as well. So cool. So a debut picture book. Zia, like a lot of other kids, and let's face it, some adults like me, have holes in their pockets. And she frequently puts things in her pockets like frogs or gumballs or sparkly rocks. And sometimes they stay there, but sometimes they fall through the hole and they're lost forever. So she starts to wonder what happens to all those things that fall through her pockets. And what happens if she fell through her pocket? And what she'll find on the other side. So this is really a modern day Harold and the Purple Crayon story that celebrates the power of imagination. It is published by Kwame Alexander's Versify imprint. I think it's going to be a great read aloud story.
That's awesome. Very cool. Oh man, so many awesome picture books to read to your grandbaby one day and my new baby. So much fun. All right. And we're going to make sure that we have a list up for you of these books that we talked about today, including the next one. So we were lucky enough to have Andrea Wang and Jason Chin stop by and talk with us a little about their new teaming up to create the picture book Watercress, which is about a Chinese American family on a road trip who takes a pit stop to pick some watercress on the side of the road. And in so doing, you learn a little bit about their heritage. And the main character, the young daughter, learns a little bit about why this pit stop is important to her family. Andrea Wang is the award-winning author of The Neon Monster and Magic Ramen, the story of Momofuku Ando. She was inspired to write Watercress by her experience growing up in rural Ohio as a child of Chinese immigrants. And Jason Chin, the illustrator, is a celebrated author and illustrator of many children's books. His title, Grand Canyon, was awarded a Caldecott Honor, a Cybert Honor, and the NCTE Orbis Picture Book Award. He is the author and illustrator of Your Place in the Universe, as well as many other nonfiction titles. And we are really lucky that they had the opportunity to zoom in and share some info about this book with us. Thank you so much, Alexandra and Jason.
Hi, I'm Andrea Wang.
And I'm Jason Chin, and this is my cat, Finn.
And we are the author and illustrator of Watercress, a new picture book coming out from Holiday House Neil Porter Books in March 2021.
And thank you to Baker and Taylor. And Finn says, thank you, Baker, and thank you, Taylor, too.
And we'd like to say hello to all the children's librarians in the audience. Thank you all so much for watching this Title Talks video about our book. And a huge thank you to the Baker and Taylor CAT team for inviting us to be on it.
Yes, thank you, everyone. So Andrea, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what this book is about?
Sure. So Watercress is about a young Chinese American girl who lives in rural Ohio in a mostly white town with her parents and her older brother. And they're driving in the car one day when her mom spots watercress growing by the side of the road. And she makes the whole family get out to gather it. And the girl is really embarrassed. She's really unhappy about collecting food from this muddy ditch. And she refuses to eat it when they serve it at dinner that night. And then her mom tells a story from her own childhood of growing up in China and how her family suffered through a famine. The girl comes to realize that watercress means something very different to her parents than it does to her. And the discovery, I think, brings her family closer together. So the story is semi-autobiographical. You know, my parents did make me collect watercress from the side of the road. I did grow up in rural Ohio, and I really did hate doing this because it made me feel like that weird foreign kid. You know, my parents were immigrants from China and experienced a lot of hardship there, but they also were very nostalgic about their lives there. They always wanted to go back and visit, but a lot of factors prevented them from doing so. So it's a very personal story for me in many ways. But Jason, when you read the manuscript, was there anything that you personally related to or that resonated with you?
Yeah, well, when I first read the manuscript, the first thing that came to mind from my experience was actually, well, it's my father's experience. So my grandparents on my father's side immigrated from China. And when my father was in, I think it was first grade, maybe kindergarten, first grade, he went to school at the beginning of the year, and the teacher, one of the first things she did was go around the circle and ask the kids what they had for breakfast. It was kind of a way to introduce the class to each other. And so the kids said eggs and toast and cereal and, you know, Fruit Loops or whatever. And then they got to my dad and he said, "Nuk byung." And everyone said, "What's that?" And he said, "I don't know, it's Nuk byung." He didn't know how to explain what it was. You know, he's just a little kid. And, you know, he says they weren't like mean about it or anything like that. They just kept asking, "Can you describe it? Like, what is it?" It's minced pork. It's like a steamed minced pork, and sometimes has water chestnuts in it, that my grandmother used to get up really early in the morning to make for my grandfather because he really enjoyed it. It reminded him of home. But, you know, my dad had this experience in school, and you know, it really affected him. He came home, you know, that day, and he said, "Mom, I don't ever want Nuk byung again. I want to, you know, eat American things. I want to eat, you know, Cheerios and Frosted Flakes and cereal, and no more Nuk byung." Andrea, so many people in our country are talking about race and racism at this moment. And one of the themes that keeps coming up in these discussions is this question of who gets to be American, you know, who gets to come to this country, and what makes someone American. And, you know, I know my Americanness has been questioned in the past. I don't know, but I would guess that yours has. I know my father's has. So how can watercress help children participate in this broader discussion of race and cultural background and what it means to be American?
Well, to borrow Rudine Sims Bishop's terminology, she wrote that wonderful paper on windows and mirrors. I think the book provides both a mirror for Chinese American and Asian children to see themselves represented in literature and we all know how much representation matters. But it also provides a window for readers who aren't Asian to see how cultural background and identity can figure strongly in Asian American families. So there's a spread in the book. It's pages 8 and 9, and I don't actually have a physical copy of the book, so hopefully Holiday House will jump in here and show this spread. And it shows the family. They've pulled over to the side of the road after spotting this watercress growing. The text reads, "From the depths of the trunk, they unearth a brown paper bag, rusty scissors, and a longing for China." My parents loved living in the United States. I don't think they ever regretted immigrating here, but they also never forgot where they came from. And, you know, I love how you illustrated these pages. You know, on the left side, you have the rural, all-American, Midwestern setting, and then it merges into, on the right side, the Chinese village of the parents' memories. So I think the book can help spark discussions among students about the various places their parents or their ancestors are from, and, you know, maybe some of their own family traditions and how they originated in those places. I mean, if you think about it, the United States, we really are a nation of immigrants. But I believe that we're also all Americans. And I think that Watercress's themes about hardship and immigration and belonging can really help foster empathy for recent immigrants and refugees. It's, in my mind, a very timely story, given the recent rise in anti-Asian and anti-immigration sentiment.
Right. I agree wholeheartedly.
And so actually these pages, returning to these pages that I just read as an example, this illustration style you used for Watercress feels really different from your other books, which, I mean, I don't know the terminology, but I describe them as being really incredibly detailed and realistic, almost photographically so. Can you tell us about the style you chose and why, and what were your goals as an illustrator for this book?
That's a great question, Andrea. So this story is all about memories. It's about your memories. It's about your parents' memories. And so memory was one of the big themes that I wanted to capture in the illustrations. I wanted them to feel like memories. It's also about two cultures coming together. So Chinese culture and rural Midwestern culture, American culture. And so I wanted the artwork to reflect both cultures. I tried different mediums. I tried working in pastel. I tried working on rice paper with brush and ink. I tried watercolor. I tried pastel on watercolor, on rice paper, and that didn't work at all. So, but I kept searching for something that captured the memory side of things and the cross-cultural side of things. I painted a lot of corn, and as I was painting, I hope that comes out. There we go. This is a painting I did. It's not far from my house. It happened to be August when I started painting, so it worked out well. The corn was tall. And as I was painting the corn, it occurred to me that corn was an important motif in this book. It was inevitable. I was going to have to put a lot of corn into the book, and bamboo could be a complementary motif to represent the Chinese side of things. Corn is such an iconic American plant. Bamboo is an iconic Chinese plant, but they share similarities. They're both grasses, and so those two motifs, I thought would work well, and that's why on page 8 and 9, the corn bleeds into bamboo, and then you see the characters on either side.
You know, I think it's a great story time book because it's actually about the power of telling stories. You know, the mom's story about her childhood in China has this direct impact and raises the girl's awareness, and it brings this whole family together, and they have this kind of new understanding of each other, that, you know, sense of peace and resolution and hope for the future that you were talking about in your illustration. And I think in a group setting like story time, especially in schools or library situations, I think the book can spark discussions about the children's own family stories. You know, kids always want to make comments about the book that they're listening to, right? But I think it would be really great to hear the children's own family stories. And I think it can spark discussions about the importance of knowing where we came from, our family history, what our parents' lives were like. I think maybe why this memory stuck with me so much is because I didn't really think of my parents as being people with lives, before I was born until then. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you everyone for listening.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoy the book, and let us know over social media if you enjoy it. Thank you.
Okay, take care everyone.
Bye.
That was wonderful, Alexandra and Jason. Thank you so much for that. And we look forward to Watercress coming out in just a couple months. Rita and I really enjoyed, as always, hanging out with you and taking this coffee and tea break with everybody, as did Hades and Julie. We hope everyone is gearing up for a really happy holiday. If you ever need us or would like to learn more about our resources in the CATS department, please visit us at cats.baker-taylor.com, and you can also access our Facebook page from there as well. Anything to add there, Rita?
No, I think that's it. I hope everyone has a great holiday season, and reach out to us with any questions or suggestions.
Awesome.
From our shows to yours. Bye-bye.